Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. We are live again on Sunday. Speaking of being live on a Sunday, I put out a poll earlier today when I had some time to figure out if Sunday is good for you guys or if another day of the week will work better. Because I think Alex and I are both somewhat flexible enough that we can figure it out on a different day of the week. So that is up on my personal Twitter, which you guys saw that at the beginning, and you'll see the Twitter handle again at the end. So if you can go vote on that, that would be super great.
Yeah, go vote, man. If you want us to do another day, just let us know, all right?
And
Here,
then, yeah, so
here we are
that's,
on Sunday, though.
yeah, here we are on a Sunday. Normal, which I think for the most part works out pretty well for everybody, but we'll see what this says. Um, Anywho, I personally didn't see too much go on this week, but I was also hyper focused on everything going on in Afghanistan this week. So that was me for this week. But we do have the fact that Cuomo's time as the governor of New York is at an end, and moving trucks were seen at the governor's mansion in Albany, and he is packing up and preparing to leave. Everything I looked at says that nobody knows where he's going yet, so I don't know if you've seen anything different or not, Alex.
No, the funny thing to me is that his guilt in sending a lot of older people back into their nursing homes, basically to be met with death, is that's also a very harsh way to say it. But um, he has crimes that are more guilty or deeper than what he's being alleged for right now. And that's not to say that groping women is not a bad thing, because it's a very bad thing. But this dude is just a fucking piece of shit. Is basically my whole synopsis of Andrew Cuomo. You're a total giant piece of shit, and I don't like you at all.
Yeah,
And I hope you never come back. Is my whole
I don't think
synopsis
he'll
of the
come
entire
back
thing.
to any type of leadership position ever.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
At least I hope not.
These guys have a
In the
way of.
wake of his like leaving and everything, his lawyers are still firing things at the attorney general of the state to be like to try and discredit some of the women that are coming forward.
Well, yeah, that's what they have to do, though, right?
I
Because
mean, I guess.
they can't just plead guilty and come out and be like, yeah, well, you know what? You're all right. Andrew Cuomo is a big old pile of steaming hunk of shit, and he came out and grabbed all these women just exactly the way that they're saying he did. They can't do that because he would never be able to run for office ever again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're trying to save something. This is interesting. Oh, I hate you, New York Times. Okay, never mind. Um, anyway, yeah. So, yeah, he resigned, and apparently he filed for retirement at the same time he resigned. So, I don't know what that entails.
shocker.
If he's gonna get any money or like a retirement pension from that, I guess we'll wait and see what happens with this trial, if there is a trial, or what the investigation brings forth into his alleged groping of women. I'm not saying alleged because I think he's innocent. I'm saying alleged because that's kind of what you have to say because, innocent until proven guilty, even if I do think he's a scumbag.
Oh, he's a definite scumbag.
No, for sure.
It's like Trump saying, he was definitely a scumbag. Now, whether or not he could lead a country is a different story. Like, not by a lot, but it is a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, there's not much to go off of on this whole thing with him yet until, everything pans out with the accusations and the lawsuits and everything that's happening with him. But the fact that he's just packing up and like heading out of town to wherever he goes is not a great sign of innocence, I guess. I would say like like you're just packing up and running from your problems essentially, which would kind of lead credence to the fact that he's
Q, Q, the president of Pakistan.
yeah.
I'm
There's
gonna
also
get
that.
on a fucking plane and give me all this cash, and I'm gonna dip the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he's sitting in the. He's actually sitting in the UAE right now. I think is what I saw at the United
Yeah.
Arab Emirates. Is just he's just chilling over there. Um, well, since you mentioned that guy, very short talk about Cuomo, but I mean, there's nothing really else like much else to say about him other than he's a scumbag, and
No,
him bailing is just like
he's a total douchebag. He's not a good guy,
yeah,
and that's that.
yeah, that's that. So I guess a little bit of an update on the Afghanistan situation. Uh, Rescue efforts are still, as far as I know, going and going pretty smoothly from what I understand, except for the fact that the Taliban lied. Surprise, surprise.
No, dude, they don't lie.
Surprise, surprise. I'm not gonna
They're
say
they're a very trustworthy establishment.
yeah. I'm
I
not
trust what they say, honestly. They're building their people up, dude. Can you
sure.
can you not see that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say where.
You're a fucking racist, dude.
No, I'm not gonna say where I got this information from, but there was a Afghan national, an Afghan citizen who helped the coalition forces during their time there, and recently, like very recently, within the past couple of days, was found to have been murdered by the Taliban for him and his family for the help that he gave to the United States and their allies while they were there. So
No, dude.
we go
No.
from their presser saying no, it's fine. We're not gonna hunt you down. We're not gonna hurt you for the help that you gave the West. To literally 2 days ago, this guy and his family being murdered because of the help they gave. So
No, dude, doesn't sound right.
yeah, I know. You got to
Doesn't
take them at
sound
face
accurate.
value, right? No, and then outside of that and the freaking tragic news that is, and the fact that I've seen videos. I'm sure you guys have all seen them too. The videos and stuff of people literally handing their babies to Marines and them like taking the babies up over the razor wire, over the barricades, and getting them taken care of because these people are just handing their children off because they're like, if nothing else, at least my kid will be safe.
Yeah, and all the people trying to climb aboard the fucking flights that are leaving
That just
Afghanistan.
the first time. They've since
Yeah.
secured the airport. And had it
Yeah,
all
it's
set up.
bad
It
news, dude.
sucks, and like all the videos I'm seeing of people literally at the checkpoints and stuff, like reaching through and just crying and wailing, like please, like help us. Like
Yeah, it's bad
it's
news.
bad, and it sucks that it's unfortunate, that we can't take everyone.
No.
But I mean, this is the fucking shitty thing of it is that for the longest time, many people here in America and people around the world were like, "Get out of Afghanistan, United States. You're not helping. You're not doing anything. You're the evil that's in there." And the United States was like, "All right, fuck it, fine. We'll
All
leave."
right. Yeah.
And then
Sounds fine.
the
Sounds
Taliban
good.
is there, and they're like, "Oh shit, y'all left a bunch of free stuff too. Nice." And then everyone else that was calling for us to leave, it's like, oh my god, no, help those people. What are you doing? Help them. They're in trouble. And it's like, bitch, we were. We were just there, and you didn't want us to do our
We were
job,
just trying to help.
and you couldn't. You just wanted
We've
to
just been there.
whine and cry and not let us do our job. So now we're gonna go back, and we're only gonna get out who we can get out and help who helped us basically, and try and
Oh,
keep everything as calm and orderly as possible. But like we're not doing anything more than that. And they're like, but
again,
it's just fucking
it's almost as if there was a military industrial complex that had something to gain by us going back to the Middle East. So if we went back to the Middle East, there would be a good reason to do it, right?
I mean,
So
I guess I'm not even looking at it through that lens. Like right now, because everyone that's over there, that's deployed over there right now, is in a non-combative role. They've been deployed as non-combat, like operative.
yeah,
Like now,
no,
obviously,
I
if something happens, though, they're there and they'll like deal with the situation. But right now, everyone that's deployed there is just there to keep things moving and get out who we need to get out. And we have like a week left.
yeah, I have my tinfoil hat on when I say that, but there's there's not a lot of people listening to us right now. So I'll get as tinfoil as I want to.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just it's sad and unfortunate to see, and I know that there's a bunch of people, a bunch of veterans, and a bunch of active duty people still that are feeling some type of way about all this, and because it wasn't handled great. It's not how we wanted. It's not how they wanted to leave that country, because
No.
they were over there. They were the ones, the boots on the ground that saw everything day to day for the past 2 decades or whatever, and they wanted to leave it a better place, and it's looking like it's getting left a worse place.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what's been happening. It's not being left in any better shape than we found it, but
Yeah,
we grabbed a lot of resources along the way. So, hey, good for us, right? Go America.
I guess. I guess, man. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm gonna obviously continue to keep kind of a close eye on everything that's happening over there over the next week or so, and see how everything's going. In other news, the like I thought, the C-17 that airlifted that record number of people out was from my base. The
Nice.
crew and everybody was from this base. And it was confirmed by that crew that it was 823 people on that plane,
Well, that's good work.
which is crazy. Hi, Jesus.
Jesus.
So yeah, which that's a feat in and of itself. I mean, obviously, like the plane can handle the weight because those things are designed to like hold 2 tanks. But yeah, just a logistical effort and everything by those guys that did that to get 823 people aboard that flight out of there, which is crazy. And I know I go inside those things on the regular, and they're big, but the
That's
pictures
a
make it
feat.
the pictures make it look a lot bigger than what it is. Like they're big, don't get me wrong, but see, knowing how big they actually are, and trying to visualize 823 people crammed into that thing, it's crazy.
It's a feat and a half, dude.
It is, and they did a great job. And it makes me proud of them. Makes me proud. Like I tweeted out earlier today, it's my little, I guess, shameless plug or like whatever. But it makes me proud to put.
Shameless plug. Go.
Makes me
Go.
proud of them and
Shameless
proud
plug.
to put on the uniform. And it's kind of cool to see that how my job in the military, even though it's a little part right now, actually was helpful to them. Because if they didn't get what they needed from me and my shop where I worked, then they wouldn't have been able to even fly over there or do anything. So it's pretty cool to see all that come together.
So there you are. Being as important as you are.
I mean, a little bit. Let's not get out of control.
Just, you know what? Be there, be important. Hashtag America.
Hashtag America. But yeah. So I don't know. Um, we'll keep. I'm late. Did you already cover the whole airlines thing? They're gonna be using commercial flights to get people out of Afghanistan. We haven't really. We talked about it a little bit last week, Jesus. But basically, what's happening is we are using every resource possible at our disposal to get people out of there. So military, aircraft, like what I was just talking about. Um, so military aircraft from the United States and from some other partner countries over there, and then commercial commercial flights as well are going to be used, and chartered flights. Like we're spending a lot of money to get people out that we have deemed helpful and um, important to us, basically. Are you tired today, Alex? Did you go play golf?
I am tired, but
Oh, I forget you're working on your shoulder back there.
I'm working on trying to trying to iron out my shoulder.
Yeah, Jesus. So we're using whatever we can to get people out of Afghanistan. But like we said before, it's unfortunately not everyone that we can. It's just allies and people that were important to us during our stay and our time there that helped us out a bunch. And it's a total
That's
of I think 22,000 people.
that's one of the downfalls of what Biden has done is that we didn't stage it well enough to get a lot of our allies out of there before we completely pulled out,
True,
unfortunately.
and I don't know if we talked about this last week, but it has been a pretty shitty withdrawal. Like I
It
don't feel that
it is
he's
not it has
I
not gone
I
well.
don't feel that he's handled it well at all. And again, these are my own thoughts, not the thoughts of the DoD or the opinions of the DoD or the United States Air Force. Right? This is just me saying that I'm pretty fucking sure that that dude has bungled the fuck out of this.
Yeah, he's fucked it up pretty bad. I mean, I've said it before. I think that it was one of the best things that he's done as president is actually finally bringing us out of Afghanistan
Well, true, and he followed
because
through on Trump's promise of doing it. As much as you guys might fucking, whatever. People hate Biden, people hate Trump, but at least Trump was like, "We're gonna withdraw out of there," and Biden was like, "Well, that's a good idea, so I'll do it."
yeah, no, back in May when Trump was saying that he was going to pull everybody out, a lot of the right wingers were like, "Great idea, best thing that president could do." And then as soon as Biden does it, a lot of them are like, "What a shitty plan! What a shitty plan!" It's like, well, no, he followed through on the promise. Now to say that it was maybe um, illy planned or poorly planned is a very valid statement, but
Yeah,
at least this was the teapot we were sitting on for a long time to where the Afghani president and the Afghani soldiers were like, no, we're going to stay in, we're going to fight. And then as soon as the US pulls out, they're like,
hey,
nope,
you know what about that?
see you. We never really had any plans to stick around and fight, actually.
Yeah,
We're going to go ahead and deuce out. Um, Unfortunately, there's not a real way to plan that sort of response, but a lot of people kind of thought that that was going to be the response. So it might have been a wise idea to have some boots on the ground to stick around in case that would happen and still keep order. But here we are. So
yeah, yeah. I'll get to your first thing in a second, Jesus. Y'all think this would have gone any better had there not also been a pandemic happening? It's possible. It's possible that it would have gone.
no,
You don't think so?
no, I don't think so.
I mean, I feel like there might have been a little bit, like it might have been handled a little bit better, but
I don't think the pandemic had anything to do with
there's
this
not,
sort of strategic reaction to pulling out of Afghanistan.
yeah, there's not much evidence that or anything on there that says also part of this is due to like, we're not even like as far as I know, we're like it's like we're not even screening anybody to that's coming that we're rescuing about whether they're sick or not. So
No, it's
it's
not about COVID at
no.
all.
So at some point somewhere something's gonna get blamed on COVID. Like we're obviously at some point soon we're gonna be taking in Afghani refugees, and then COVID cases are gonna spike somewhere, and everybody some people somewhere are gonna be like, oh my god, if we hadn't rescued these fucking people, this would be happening. And at that point I just want to punch that person in the face because it's like at this point I don't care. Like the important thing was getting the people out that that were in the greatest danger.
Well, it goes back to the whole immigration status slash influx that we're having at the border. Like we have enough people that we need to take care of that have been with us, quote unquote, stateside in a foreign country that we need to take care of. So, yes, we need to continue to accept refugees and continue to provide them a safe space. But just anyone looking to get out of said country that wants to come to our country and make a better life for themselves. Yes, I agree that we need to make that easier and give them a place that they can come. But at the same time, we need to prioritize people that have helped us in a war and allow them to come through
Which is like
and
what
seek
we're doing.
citizenship. Yeah,
Which is what we're doing. Which is like that's one of the unfortunate hard truths about war and that kind of stuff is the general population on both sides and kind of gets screwed in the end because the players are going to take care of the people that help them first.
exactly.
It
Yep.
sucks, but that's the way of the world, and that's the way wars and informants and helpful people are dealt with. Because at some point during all of that, we looked at that person and we made a promise to them that said, "Hey, if this gets shitty or at the end of this or whatever, like you helped
Yeah,
us
we
out,
got you.
we're
Yep.
gonna do we're gonna do good by you for helping us."
But we're not doing that right now. For a large
For
number
a
of
large
people
majority,
that are
okay, true.
still
So
on the ground
there's
in
yeah,
Iraq. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, so we designated a X amount of 22,000 people that were helpful or allies, but there's also some day to day people that were out in the little villages here and there that gave us some help, which unfortunately probably got forgotten about, which sucks.
Up until this point at least. And
Yeah,
I hope that they find their way over here.
I hope, and honestly, I hope that if we can't, obviously we can't go back into deep into Afghanistan to like go get those people. I hope that they make it safe to Kabul and to the airport and
Yeah.
are identified as someone who needs like was helpful and needs to get rescued. Um, I'm gonna go back to so Jesus said. Speaking of Biden, did y'all see that Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she filed articles of impeachment against Biden? I did not hear about that, and I have it pulled up now after you said that. So this go around, apparently this is the second time that she has filed articles of impeachment against Biden. So
Ooh,
here we go. This
spicy.
every time. So we're just gonna go back. The fact that the Democrats filed articles of impeachment against Trump multiple times has now set a precedent because this is gonna. I foresee this happening now every time a president does something that the other side doesn't like per se, articles of impeachments are going to get filed on the other side of the aisle. So this will be fun. Anyway, so she has levied these resolutions against Biden. One of which is the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Another one is on his illegal immigration through the U.S. Mexican border, and the final one is the unclear constitutionality of Biden's new eviction moratorium.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I, I'm gonna click on this little hyperlink right here and figure
It
it out.
sounds like the Little Shop of Horrors,
Yeah.
like Pet Cemetery type shit. Biden has
So
a
he's
pet cemetery where
Yeah.
he's raising up his pets
His
from
new
the dead.
60-day eviction moratorium is constitutional and nobly passed. What the fuck?
You got anything for me?
I am trying to look up what this fucking eviction moratorium is. Someone in chat knows more about it. You guys can help me out, but I don't know. That's gonna take too much time for me to look up right now, and I don't want to like derail the podcast because of that. The eviction moratorium is saying that landlords can't evict tenants because they aren't paying rent due to COVID. Oh, basically. Okay, so Biden's filed a new moratorium that I think he's something in there said like it was like a 60-day moratorium. So it's like basically giving them an extension, you know, a little bit of a grace period to not pay rent and then not be homeless, but at the same time, landlords and renting agencies are filing things firing back at that to say no, stop, we have to make a living too. So that'll be super fun to follow. People give a standing ovation to her making that announcement. Yikes. But so she's filed those articles. Those are unlikely to go to the floor for a vote because I don't think much of them have a leg to stand on. She, in a statement announcing the resolutions, denounced Biden in extreme terms, labeling him as a pseudo-dictator, accusing him of shredding the Constitution, and declaring the government illegitimate because it's no longer serving its citizens. But
She's going to try to claim that the Constitution isn't a real rite of passage. Then I'd be interested to see exactly what her Constitution is.
yeah, so this is not the first time she's tried to impeach Biden. Literally one day after Biden took office, she filed articles of impeachment that accused Biden of an abuse of power by allowing his son Hunter to work for a Ukrainian energy company.
Good for her.
So, 11 House Republicans voted with the Democrats to strip Green of her committee assignments back in February, and that was just a month into her term. And because that's signaling that everybody's already done with her shit. Unsurprising is that she's a Trumper. Green is not the only Trump ally in Congress who toyed with the idea of impeaching Biden. Lindsey Graham said in a Fox interview that if a single American or Afghan ally gets left behind in our evacuation from Afghanistan, it would be a high crime and misdemeanor under the Constitution that should lead to Biden's impeachment. Yikes.
Yikes.
Yikes. Combos late again. Anything on the Canadian election? I haven't. No combo. We haven't talked about it, but we can. I forgot / didn't look anything up on that, so that's my B.
Forgot / didn't take the time.
Yeah, basically. At what point, Caesar said, at what point do people like her get labeled as domestic terrorists? Yikes.
Yeah, that's a tough.
Yeah.
You can't label people like that as domestic terrorists, unfortunately, because then you get into a gray area of anybody who thinks differently than I think is a domestic terrorist. So
Yeah.
you can't do that, unfortunately, although I wish you could under good faith, but you just can't, unfortunately. So you can think she's a dumbass. I think that we all know that she is off her rocker, but at that point in time, you can't label her as a domestic terrorist because she disagrees with you, unfortunately.
Jesus said that she's inciting violence at her rallies. They've seen videos and we've seen the results. I can't speak to it because I haven't seen videos of what she's doing or anything like that.
Well, then the people that she's inciting violence to should be locked up, right? then if you're going to start charging people, you start charging people that are inspired by her, that are causing uh civil unrest within our society. And then if you get to the point where you can blame her and pinpoint her to where it was a result of what she said or what she advised, then yes. But unfortunately, you can't just whitewash
Yeah.
it to a point where she is to blame for anyone and everyone that has caused unrest within our society. Unfortunately. I mean, like I said, I'd like to be able to say, yeah, fucking charge her and everybody else, but you can't specifically blame her for each individual action.
Is she? Is she? And it's because I haven't seen any of her videos or anything like that. But is she like standing up and telling people to go commit acts of violence, or is she just like kind of whipping people up into a frenzy and then kind of leaving it up to them? That's the question I was posing. Because if she's up there actually telling people to go and do violent acts and things like that, then yeah, that's a problem, obviously, and she needs to
Yeah, correct.
something needs to be done. But if she's up there just giving a fiery speech and people are taking that and running with it and doing, interpreting that however they want to interpret it, and then committing acts of violence, that's on the person. And then to the same degree, she should be held responsible for what she's. That's where it gets iffy, is because then it's that person
No, you
interpreting it.
you start
But
to get into some tricky situations for
because this
sure.
has been a debate that's gone on before, and
Yeah.
I've listened to a radio or a podcast or something along the same lines, where it might have been Joe Rogan actually. I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast where it's like, yeah, where it's like, then who, people that commit violent acts that are like whipped up into a frenzy by someone's speech, should the person that gave the speech be held accountable? And there's a debate about that.
Well, does it incite violence, or does it just
Yeah,
encourage people to do what they're already thinking?
yeah,
And I'm not saying one is better than the other, just for the record.
yeah. He said she literally told people to use their guns against anyone who comes to talk to them about vaccines. No, I haven't seen that video. Like I haven't seen it, Jesus. And maybe it's because my social media has, like, the algorithm has determined that I'm not going to see those things. I don't know. I'm gonna have to start like actually looking. But I also like don't have regular TV or anything like that, so I don't watch the news. So yeah,
Probably for the best,
honestly.
because I don't watch the news anymore either. I can't stand it.
But yeah, I haven't seen that video. If you got a link to it, Jesus, post it in the chat. Um, Combo, do not expose me like this. Um, this is not the
Oh, you've
place.
been getting goth girls in your
My
DMs?
no, not my DMs, just my TikTok for you page. Moving on. It was a private rally where she was forbidding recordings, but someone did. Okay, if you have a link, Jesus, please post it, and I'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it and see what it's all about. I was just trying to scroll through and figure out, like, because I thought I saw something not too long ago about like Biden's new like domestic terrorist stuff, and like what he planned to label people as a domestic terrorist as under like whatever guidelines, and it was all COVID based stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty sus, but I
Well,
haven't seen
you
anything about it, so
you enter a very dangerous line of the whole COVID vaccination slash vaccine passport slash
yeah.
social scorecard, which you do not want to enter within.
No, the thing that I saw that was like, I was really quick, and it was things like you're be labeled a domestic terrorist, and this could have been photoshopped. So take this with as many grains of salt as you want, because I certainly did, because it's been a minute. But it was like, if you fucking refuse to get a vaccine, you'll be labeled a domestic terrorist. If you like fucking cough on people or whatever, like don't have a vaccine passport, like you're a domestic terrorist. I was like, oh my god.
Yep.
I was like, that's taking it too far. Like, and honestly, I'm hoping that like, if that were to get put forward, Congress would have some sense about them and be like, hey, yeah, nah, dog, we can't do that. But I don't
Go
know.
ahead and label me domestic terrorist because I will cough on someone at some point in time.
Yeah, I think that one. Hopefully, the
I will
caveat with
do
that
it
was like
accidentally.
an intentional coughing. Okay, here we go. Jesus has the YouTube videos. Let me pull that up real fast.
I received a video from a concerned citizen, one of our viewers in Dothan. I think it's pronounced Dothan, maybe Dothan, Alabama. Marjorie
course
Taylor
it's in
Greene was in
Alabama.
Alabama about 10 days
And
ago
it's a David
at an event
Pac-Man.
at which filming was not allowed. But our viewer, this concerned citizen, surreptitiously filmed. And in this event, sponsored by the Alabama Federation of...
But I'm gonna pause this real fast just to say my man's is over here using unnecessary large words. He didn't have to go that deep.
And he's got a big fancy microphone also.
True.
So you should probably trust what he says.
Anyway, moving on. I don't know much about David Pac-Man, but anyway, moving on.
Republican women. Marjorie Taylor Greene was the keynote speaker. She suggests shooting vaccinators if indeed people start coming door to door offering vaccines. This is a sitting member of Congress. This is video provided exclusively to us. Take a look at this. Take a listen to this.
And one more thing on that, you lucky people here in Alabama might get a knock on your door because I hear Alabama might be one of the most unvaccinated states in the nation.
Guys, they're cheering for being unvaccinated. They're cheering for being unvaccinated. They're cheering because they haven't been vaccinated.
Well, Joe Biden wants to come talk to you guys. He's going to be sending one of his police state friends to your front door.
I call them nurses, police state friends. I would call them nurses.
Knock on the door, take down your name, your address, your family members' names, your phone numbers, your cell phone numbers, probably ask for your social security number, and whether you've taken the vaccine or not. Yeah, well, what they don't know is in the South, we all love our Second Amendment rights.
Can you imagine?
And we're not real big on strangers showing up on our front door, are we?
We're big on our Second Amendment rights, and we're not big on strangers showing up at our front door. This is a sitting member.
But I'm gonna pause that just real fast. I guess in some parts of the South, like that's true, but like overall, the South is a pretty hospitable place. I don't think you're gonna get a gun pulled on you just for showing up to someone's doorstep.
No. The problem is, again, like we've said 100 times, and I'll say 100 more times, is when things get this politicized, this is when this amount of fear / hatred / anything emotion wise starts to come out to play. You can't take an emotional response to something like a virus or a vaccine.
Yeah.
You have to take a logical approach to it.
Well, that's the other thing that she needs to be held accountable for is like she said, Alabama's like one of the least vaccinated states in there, but it was like, yeah. Well, she's like at that point, they're all like fucking biting on the misinformation because.
And again, be friendly, be nice, be genuine, be honest. Tell people why or why not you want the vaccine, but understand
don't pull a
where
gun.
someone else is coming from. Like, have the grace to look at that person and realize why or why not they're making the decision that they are making. Don't just be so aggressive as to quote unquote even like pull a proverbial gun on someone, like just with your words and be like, nope, don't like what you're saying. Pew, pew. Just listen to what someone has to say. Understand why they're saying what they're saying and then respond.
Yeah.
Don't don't be a dick and just shoot them down before you even understand what they're saying, really.
Yeah. Well, the thing that needs to happen is that some way, somehow, people will need to like counter the misinformation that everybody's getting about the vaccine, because there's nothing wrong with the vaccine, like at all. There's nothing wrong with it. I got vaccinated. I'm still alive and I'm kicking. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Get vaccinated.
there's literally nothing wrong with the vaccine. Whatever argument you have, whoever has, for saying I'm not getting the vaccine because of it's not FDA approved. Okay, well, it's about to be. It's about to be FDA approved. So what's your excuse then? Like, I don't know what it, people say. Oh, it was rushed. It wasn't. It wasn't rushed. Like, the vaccine itself for COVID has been in development and been researched for a long time. But what you'll understand is, like, it takes a lot of money to research and develop vaccines. And this one was, it was been in research and development for a long time because not a lot of money was getting funneled that direction. What catapulted this to the forefront and expedited the process was the fact that we had a global pandemic and everybody was scared out of their minds and people were dying left, right, and center. So a shitload of money got funneled into that research and development, and then it got the money it needed and it got pushed through. It went straight, went through all the trials, the clinical trials that it needed to go through, and now we're at a point where it's about to be FDA approved. So there's nothing wrong with the goddamn vaccine. It's just like any of the other vaccines you had to take in your life, and I don't know why we're freaking out about it so much.
Well, because it's been politicized so much,
Yeah.
dude. It's been politicized so much. And if you take the vaccine, you're a sheep. And if you don't take the vaccine, you're a fucking Trump lover. And it's like, well, can I just make the decision for myself and for the people around me? And if I want to get the vaccine, I'll get the vaccine. And if I don't want to get the vaccine, I won't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
But that's not the conversation that's being had right now. It's you're either a fucking Trump lover, anti-vaxxer, or you're either a Biden supporter and you're going to get the vax because you care about the people around you. It's like, okay, well, let's understand something real quick. Just because I get the vaccine doesn't mean that I'm not going to get the virus. So I can still get the virus with the vaccine and I can still transport it to someone else, just like as if I didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
So here I am where the vaccine only really helps me to not die from the virus. That's the only real logical part of getting a vaccine in this type of scenario is if I think I'm going to get COVID and I'm going to die, I should get the vaccine because it will lessen my symptoms.
Yeah.
So here I am as an average, healthy individual that I'm not saying that if I get COVID, I'm going to just breeze through it. I'm not saying that at all. But for the most part, I don't have any pre-existing health conditions. I'm a pretty healthy individual. I spend a lot of time in the sun. I have a high amount of vitamin D in my system, and I'm not overweight. I don't have any sort of chronic lung conditions. So I'm probably going to be fine if I get COVID, right? But now if I don't get the vaccine, I'm some sort of right-wing supporter who is an anti-vaxxer. And that's not the case at all. It's not the case at all. I just think I'm going to be okay if I get it. So leave that decision up to myself. But that's not the way the conversation is going. It's either you were an anti-vaxxer and you're a Trump supporter, or you're a pro-vaxxer and you think that COVID is going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
No, there's not. Squash, to go back to your question, I don't know what district she's from, but she is congressional person out of the state of Georgia, I think, is what I read. She's from Georgia, and that's who she's representing. I mean, trying to go through.
Ozzy boy.
And Jesus, I'm not saying, yeah, I'm not gonna say you're not wrong saying that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are helping cause things like the politicization of masks and vaccines and that kind of stuff, because she is. It's on both sides. Everybody's just getting whipped up into like you have to pick a camp, and that's we don't need to be picking a camp. Jesus went on to say that it's almost unanimous that anti-vax people right now are right-wing extremists associated with Trump or Greg Abbott and them, and there are still Democrats and liberals too that are anti-vax, but violence seems to be associated with these people listening to Trump supporting members of Congress.
Well,
it's just
yeah,
like I mean, true. I think it's just on both. The violence is just getting ramped up on both sides, because nobody knows how to sit down. Like we have been saying in this entire time from when we started this podcast, is nobody knows how to sit down and have a civil conversation and try and understand where the other person's coming from. It's one person yelling at somebody else saying, "You're a sheep for getting the vaccine and for wearing a mask," when blah, 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 blah. And then the other person just not even listening and just screaming back at the other person going, "Well, you're an idiot and you don't care about the lives of other people or whatever for not getting vaccinated or for not getting vaccinated and not wearing a mask, blah, blah, blah." And nobody's actually trying to figure out where anybody else is coming from. And the political machine is eating this up because it's doing exactly what it wants to do, which is keep the friggin' country divided against one another, so that we don't have the time of day to realize what's actually going on, and get to a point where we can actually help, to actually keep the government in check instead of let it run rampant. But that's my
it's
rant.
just like what we were talking about with Dan Hoppins the other night, to where you don't trust the government as a whole, right? I don't, you don't, for good reason, because they largely don't tell us the full spectrum of the whole truth of what's going on. So do I think that the COVID-19 vaccine is some variant that's designed to be like MK Ultra and, designed to be tested on humans as some sort of like, a rat species? No, I don't think that. I don't think that at all. But our government also doesn't have a very good fucking track record with being honest with people when it comes to things like vaccines or shots. So do I think that this particular vaccine is going to make you sick or is going to subject you to some government, test subject? No, I don't think that. But do I necessarily find fault within people who think that it could potentially be something to that effect? No, I don't find fault with someone, because our government is not the most trustworthy individual to begin with. So I think it's foolish to think that this particular COVID-19 vaccination could be some sort of a test subject type specimen. I think it's foolish to think that. But at the same time, do I blame people who are skeptical of it? No, you can't. Like, I don't understand how you could be skeptical of something like that. Again, I don't think it's a smart decision to say I'm going to be an anti-COVID-19 vaxxer because they're testing some sort of, government prototype or whatever. I think that's extremely foolish. I don't think that's accurate. But do I blame people who necessarily believe that? No. How do you blame someone who thinks that? Because we've seen it in the past where it happened exactly like it's fucking happening right now.
True. True. He just said the thing. He said the thing is disagreeing is one thing, but how many Democratic or liberal people are genuinely causing riots at schools and intimidation of elected officials because they don't want masks or vaccines? It's not a 50-50 situation. And then he said something about that. Then he
Yeah,
said the vaccine wasn't even made in America. And I'm not disagreeing.
that's
I'm not saying it's a 50. Well, I'm not saying we're saying it's a 50-50 situation. And
that's that's because when we make the situation more or less about what it's actually designed to do and make it more politicized on the right or the left, the easier it is to create division within that decision. So, there again, let's make it to where if you're anti-vaccine or if you're a little bit skeptical about the vaccine, you're right, you're pro-Trump, you're a fucking racist. Or if you're pro-vaccine, you're a fucking sheep and you're just accepting everything the government wants you to do. So now you create that natural divisiveness within a decision that should not be divisive within a political party. It should be a yes or a no. It should be a scientific decision. This is what we should do, or this is what we should not do. But when we leave it into the hands of Fox News or CNN, it becomes a divisive decision, which is not fucking science, people. It's not fucking science. Science is yes or science is no. And I know I apologize. I'm getting on a fucking soapbox right now. But science is yes or it's no. There's no in between within science and mathematics. 2 plus 2 always equals 4. There's no conversation in between. The fucking vaccine should either be a good thing or a bad thing within our society. It should either fucking eradicate COVID or it should help slow the spread or it should be null and void. Obviously, it's not null and void, but getting a vaccine does not mean that you're not going to get COVID, which I understand. Get the vaccine if you want to get the vaccine to not die from COVID, but don't make everyone else across the board receive it because it's not going to do anything.
I wouldn't say it wouldn't. It's not gonna. It's not gonna do anything. The issue.
What's
the issue.
what's okay? What's the vaccine gonna do? If I get the vaccine and I go get COVID tomorrow, how's that gonna help me?
You're gonna have lesser symptoms, and you're not.
Correct.
You're gonna move from a point of not having the vaccine and being at a stage where you have the possibility of like death and severe symptoms to now you have the vaccine, so your body knows how to fight it. To move you down into the range of moderate to minimal
Correct.
things.
So it's like the flu shot, right?
Yeah.
So when I've got the flu, when I had swine flu, and when I had influenza B or whatever it was, and I felt like I was on my deathbed, I felt like I was going to die because I was so fucking sick. I didn't die, obviously. But how is that different from either of those situations in which if I would contract COVID tomorrow, how is it different whatsoever?
Well, and this is kind of the thing. Like, wait, what are you trying to like?
No, I'm just asking a simple question.
No, I'm
How
trying to
is it?
understand. Like, you're saying, like, what are you saying that like? What do you mean? Like, how is
So
it different?
so I had influenza,
Yes.
right? The swine flu variant.
Yes.
And then I had influenza B
Yes.
with no flu shot,
Hmm.
right? How would those two experiences be any different than COVID if I went out and got it tomorrow, in the sense of
Well, did you
me getting
have
some?
the
No,
vaccine for those other two?
no, I did not. So if I went and got COVID tomorrow, how would it be any different?
Because science.
I'm giving you a layup question, Ben. The answer is it wouldn't be any different.
No, but it would though. because science, like
No.
I'm with Jesus on this one. You're digging yourself a hole because you said just shut up and listen. You said so I asked you. You said so on the swine flu and influenza. You didn't have you didn't get the vaccine for those, right?
Correct.
And you felt like you were going to die because you had that.
Correct.
Exactly. So now, if you went out and got COVID tomorrow without having the COVID vaccine, you would more than likely be in the same boat of feeling you were going to die.
Correct.
Right. So if you got the vaccine for both of those things, you would feel less like you were going to die.
Correct.
Okay. So
But would the eventual outcome be morbidity because I passed away?
well, like you didn't die.
Correct.
But-
because I'm still sitting here.
Right, exactly. But the flip side of that is, and this I've seen this so much from like the people that I know that are nurses and other like posts. Not okay, so like we've seen through all of this, not everyone that gets COVID dies, right? But you are gonna feel like
in fact,
you
about 98% of people who get COVID do not die.
give or take.
Scratch it out to be about 98%.
There's been enough shit recently that I've seen from people that I know in the healthcare field and everything that are literally holding the hands of children in the hospital dying from COVID because
not children. Not
yes,
children.
yes, children. You're not
No.
gonna sit here and tell me that what I read from someone who's a fucking nurse who literally held the hand of a dying child because they came in with COVID and had no pre-existing conditions is not dying from COVID.
Okay, one child potentially.
Multiple children. I know plenty of fucking nurses that are working in freaking Children's Mercy in Kansas City.
Please find me the articles of these.
I don't need
nurses
articles when
who
I
are
have
holding-
fucking
who are holding
verbatim.
the hands of children who are passing away from COVID. That's just not true.
How is it not true?
That's just simply not true.
How?
Because children do not pass away from COVID.
How can
The
you sit here and
flu-
say that with
the
no
flu-
proof?
The flu is more deadly. If I'm wrong, please bring it to light.
All
the
right.
flu
I'm gonna
kills
text people
more
because
children. The flu kills more children than COVID does. I implore. I beg.
I cannot believe that I'm having this
beg-
conversation with you right now.
I beg anyone out there to show me any sort of factual truth that the flu does not kill more children than COVID does. Please bring me the stats. Bring me all the stats right now in the next couple days. I don't care. Bring it all to me that would suggest that COVID kills more children than the flu
I'm not
does.
arguing about whether
Please
it
do.
kills more or
Please
not.
do.
I'm just
Please
saying
do.
that children that contract COVID
Yes,
have died.
Combo says the flu does kill more children than COVID.
That's not
Combo,
the fact that I'm debating.
Combo, would you care to show any sort of evidential statements that would prove that? So my question is, why do we all of a sudden care so much more about this quote unquote sickness that does not fucking kill the same number of kids than COVID does? But all of a sudden we're going to make it this grandiose fucking in the public eye type of disease that we're gonna beg people to get the fucking vaccine for. Which again, if you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. I'm not saying that it's stupid or that you're a sheep if you get the vaccine. All I'm saying is I'm not gonna get the fucking vaccine because if I get the flu or if I get COVID, I'm gonna be fine. I'm going to make it out on the other side just fine.
And that's what a lot of people said about their kids who then, after I've read these, testimonies.
The kids, Ben, the kids. There's no kids, Ben. There's no kids.
You're not going to sit here and tell me that children are not dying from COVID. You're just not.
Who are the kids? .000 to 0.25% of COVID deaths are children.
That's still a kid dying.
Yeah, like, unfortunately, there's kids dying from fucking shark bites every day, or not every day, but the kids die from shit every day. Unfortunately, I don't want kids to die, but that you can't say that COVID is killing kids. It's not.
If a kid dies from COVID, COVID killed the fucking kid.
Within 28 days of a child dying, if he or she contracted COVID, we're going to call it a COVID death. COVID is not fucking killing kids.
That statement
COVID is not killing kids.
That statement makes no fucking sense, dude. If a kid dies because they went to the hospital because they had COVID, COVID killed the fucking kid. And they had no pre-existing conditions and they were in there because they had COVID, then COVID killed the kid.
No.
What killed the kid? What killed the kid?
Pre-existing conditions.
I just said the kid didn't have any fucking pre-existing conditions.
Okay,
he went in there solely under the fact that they had COVID.
Find me one child, just one child who went into an ER or any sort of doctor and just had COVID and passed away exclusively from COVID. Find me one across the globe, across the entire globe. Find me one. Find me one. Anybody. Anybody. Find me one.
I'm calling some people I know because people I know have literally held the hand of people dying from COVID.
I know that it sucks, and I don't like it. I don't like it as much as anybody else does. But COVID is not fucking killing children.
I think you're too deep on the Kool-Aid, bro. On this one, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm pretty sure you've drank too much of the Kool-Aid on this one.
If I'm wrong, someone please point me in the right direction. If I'm wrong, someone out there please point me in a direction that I can be rectified. Please. Please, 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 please. I'm telling you though, dude, and I'm not saying that COVID is not a shitty disease that should be taken seriously. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is this grandiose fucking idea of what it is when the mortality rate is so goddamn low. I just don't buy into it as much as I used to. When COVID first started, I remember saying in jest, I wish that I would just get COVID so everyone would realize that it's not as bad as it's made out to be. And although I'm not at the point where I really want to like say, yeah, bring on COVID because I can fight it off, whatever, I'm almost all the way back around the circle to where I'm like, this is just a goddamn joke, dude. It's ridiculous.
I'm gonna go back to something that Squash said earlier. He said, while true, you may not die, there are definite side effects of it, and one of those side effects is permanent lung damage and obviously an overwhelming amount of medical debt on the side. But COVID fucks you up from like, and if you're lucky and one of the people that like makes it through and doesn't have any like harsh like long-term side effects, then like that's great. But there is plenty of people that don't die from it but then have leftover lingering long-term side effects that make their quality of life ass.
I don't disagree with you. I agree with you because that's a fact. Okay, so here's why you won't hear me trying to dispel or argue against a polio vaccine. Because you know why I think every single person on the face of the planet should get a polio vaccine? Is because that vaccine will stop you from getting polio. I.e., if I would encounter polio and I didn't have the vaccine, I would catch polio. If I have the polio vaccine and I encounter polio, i.e., I will not get polio because I have the vaccine, right? Very very simple type of reference. If I have the COVID mRNA vaccine and I encounter COVID, I'm going to get COVID. It's just going to make me feel less shitty. So hold on. I already know it. I see your lips forming. So now, if I don't have the vaccine and I encounter COVID, I'm still going to get COVID. I'm just going to feel shittier. But when I'm looking at 94% of the population, 98% of the population that's within my particular health regime, where I don't have asthma, I spend a lot of time in the sun, I'm somewhat healthy, I'm not diabetic, I don't have any pre-existing conditions, I think I'm going to be fine. I think I'm going to handle it like the cold. And everything's going to be just Gucci. So what the fuck does it matter whether or not I have a vaccine or whether I don't have a vaccine? Because if you have the vaccine, all that it's doing is helping your immunity if I would so happen to have the virus. So if you want to get the vaccine, get the fucking vaccine. And if I don't want to get the vaccine, then I don't need the vaccine. I'm going to live. You're going to live. We're all going to be fine.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go get the vaccine. That's not
own. I'm not saying that I'm anti-vax.
I know you're not. And I'm saying like whatever, but I think you're taking this a little bit more lightly than what you should.
No, I'm being as literal and as transparent and as factual as I can possibly be. And if I'm taking this any more emotional than what I should be, please, someone.
I don't think it's about emotion or anything like that.
So what's the problem? Where's my logic flawed? Where is my logic flawed? Someone please tell me where my logic is flawed right now.
It's just the fact that you've downplayed, it's come across as you've downplayed a lot of families suffering.
No, that's not, I've not downplayed anything.
You literally looked me in my eyes and said COVID's not killing kids after I told you that COVID has killed kids.
COVID's not killing kids!
I'm looking at 3 articles Jesus has pulled up where kids have died because they had COVID. COVID kills people.
COVID kills people.
And it's killed kids. You're not going to sit here and tell me when I'm looking at the shit right now that it hasn't killed kids, and I've got testimonies from nurses that I know and other nurses on the that I've seen that have literally held the hands of children dying from COVID while their parents are in the other room sobbing because they can't go see them and asking if they can get the vaccine, and the nurse looks at them and goes, "It's too late for that now." And to go back to your other point about the polio vaccine and stuff, I think you've maybe it was just a misspeak or something, but vaccines don't prevent viruses. A polio vaccine is not going to prevent you from getting polio. Now,
yes, it will.
Not when it first came out. It did not prevent you from getting polio.
No, not when it first came out.
This is what I'm getting to. Over time, we as a society developed an immunity to polio due to the fact that people got vaccinated against the disease and then subsequently built up an immunity to it, which is what we're trying to do with the COVID vaccine and is what the medical community tries to do with people every year when the flu rolls around.
So 188 kids in 2019 to 2020 died from the flu. 43% of them occurred in children that were 5 years and older. 12 occurred in children younger than 6 months. 107 deaths occurred in children that were 5 to 17 years old. So It seems to me as if the numbers aren't adding up correctly, because the flu kills more children in 2019 to 2020
And why do you
than
think that the medical
COVID does.
community fucking stresses everyone to get the flu vaccine when it comes around?
It's
the same type of It's the same type. They're like, please, for the love of God, get the goddamn vaccines.
The flu vaccine is not going to stop you from getting the flu.
Yeah, but it might stop you from fucking dying.
The flu along.
Yes,
it might. So if I have a child that is susceptible from dying to the flu or COVID, then I would say, yes, you should get the fucking vaccine. But the flu kills more children than COVID does. So why the fuck are we out there saying that you should get the vaccine to stop the spread when the fucking vaccine does not stop the spread whatsoever?
That's not the point.
The vaccine does not stop the spread.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the point of the vaccine is to not stop the spread. That's the misinformation that's getting put out. Is they're like, stop the spread with the vaccine. That's just fucking like trigger words and keywords to get people to like bite on it better. All right, it's not about stopping the spread. It's about fucking like lessening the symptoms and not fucking like ending up on a deathbed. Like, I'm not arguing the fact.
We're finally saying the same thing.
We've been saying the same thing.
No, we have not been saying
You haven't let me
thing.
get 3 words in edgewise to say the same fucking thing. You've been screaming about COVID not killing kids, all right, before I can even finish a fucking thought.
Because COVID's not killing kids.
When kids die from COVID, COVID killed the kid. That statement by itself is not factual.
So are sharks, and so are amusement parks.
Okay, that's fine.
Are skateboards, and so are bicycles, and so are baseballs.
Yeah, those are statements of fact.
Yeah.
So another statement of fact is that COVID kills kids because kids have died from COVID.
In a goddamn fantasy world right now? Ben, have you turned on me?
I'm not. No, I haven't turned on you.
Has someone flipped you?
No, I've never once been against like any of them. Just saying that, like,
a goddamn fantasy world right now. This is crazy. I can't believe that you're making this argument.
What does? How are you saying that they're not?
It's not killing children. It's not.
So then, if a kid dies from COVID, what do they die from?
Okay, if COVID is killing children,
you're saying COVID's not killing kids is like a large
skateboards and bicycles and curbs and swing sets and monkey bars and everything that you want to list out as ever killed a child. We should forks and knives and fucking aspirin and anything else that you ever want to list out that has ever killed a child. Go ahead.
Combo has said it right there. Alex, you're saying COVID doesn't kill kids when you should be saying COVID rarely kills kids. Need to change your phrase.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
No, you're not, because you've literally verbatim about 1,000 times has said COVID's not killing kids when you need to be saying COVID rarely kills kids.
Okay, let me rephrase my statement. COVID rarely kills kids. COVID kills about as many kids as bicycles or sharks, as forks, as fucking knives, as bullies, as scooters, as anything else that you want to list. If you want to talk about a real fucking pandemic worthy item to talk about, it's the goddamn flu. But we don't have any conversation about the flu whatsoever. You know why? Because it's not fucking convenient. And instead, we're just going to push everybody to get the goddamn vaccine. And it doesn't matter how your body reacts to the vaccine. It's just get it. Get it, get it, get it. It's not going to stop you from getting it. All it's going to do is make it easier for your body to digest. So you know what? My body's going to digest it just fine because I've had the swine flu. I've had the regular flu. I've had all of it. So I'm going to be fine. So I'm not going to get it. It's not going to stop me from transmitting it. If I got it and then I wouldn't be able to transmit it, I would get it, but it's not going to accomplish that. So for now, I'm not going to get it. I'm never going to get it. And I'm going to be fine one way or another. And that's all I got to fucking say about that. God damn it.
You should you should probably read chat.
Let me.
While he's catching up on chat, I would say this: the politicization of COVID is gone too far. That's what I'll say.
Kids are not dying from COVID.
Okay, I meant more of the restart.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, if children were really dying because it was just John, 10-year-old child, no pre-existing conditions whatsoever. Children die from the fucking flu. Like, kids die, unfortunately. I don't want it to happen. I wish that we lived in a world that it did not happen. But I don't know how else to explain that.
You just need to figure out how to reword that because you're saying kids aren't dying from COVID and then immediately turning around and saying they die from other things, but like that means that COVID can also kill children.
No, I see what you're saying. I'm not.
That's the infuriating part for me is the way you're wording it is immediately downplaying the fact that parents have lost kids to COVID.
I understand that. And
basically the thing I'm trying to get you to read in chat is that the fact that the flu and COVID are not the same. Squash, my brother, who is well versed in medical science because he went to school for it, saying the flu mutates faster and it's a different thing entirely. Jesus again saying the flu doesn't permanently fuck your lungs up. True. And then again the rest of chat saying the flu mutates every year and that's why so many people die of the flu every year, whereas COVID vaccine has held up against all the variants so far. And then they're saying that you don't understand the science.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me do a little research here. Hold
on. Anyway, we're coming up on an hour 18, and if we don't get out of this fucking hole, we're gonna be here forever. And I need to fit in. I need to wrap this up because I have to go check on a buddy's dog because I'm dog sitting. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight is the fact that OnlyFans has decided to ban, starting in October, essentially porn. So anything that's sexually explicit, actual sex having, and things of that nature. Basically anything that you would find on the hub, OnlyFans is banning. OnlyFans will still allow nudity to be, on their platform, but like sexually explicit things, that's a no-go starting in October because they want to look better to investors, which actually through some of my research, this is the same thing that Patreon did a long time ago. So what these two platforms have done is basically build up an empire and a lot of profit on the backs, and this is not meant to be a pun in any way, but on the backs of sex workers, and then turned around and immediately, once they got successful enough, pulled the rug out from underneath them. And essentially will probably take away a decent amount of income for those sex workers. So this is what, basically what I have to say about that is I am in no way, shape, or form like biased or hateful or anything towards sex workers. If that's the profession you want to pursue in life and that's how you want to make your money, go get your bread. Go make your money how you want to make your money. What I take issue with is the fact that a company would allow this to happen and say, yes, we're a platform that is okay with this, and then turn around and immediately, once they get enough profit and enough notoriety about it, pull the rug out from the people that made them, which, surprise, surprise, that happens far too often. And I will chalk that up to predatory capitalism, I guess. And immediately telling those people that made them, like, fuck you, we're not going to allow this anymore. So, yeah.
Am I allowed to defend myself over my last take here real quick? And this is the last thing I'm going to say.
If you make it 30 seconds.
So 134 children have died within the last year to date over COVID related illnesses. 134 the last year, 365 days. Okay. So if we look at a children killed or injured report in 2021 based on a gun violence report, you can look at July 25th, 11 children injured or killed. July 20th, 8 children killed or struck. 7 children, 6 children, 5 children, 5 children, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4,
So what you found now is you're saying that guns are more deadly than COVID to children.
No, that's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that unfortunately, we have things within our society that will ultimately claim the lives of children. So if you're capturing COVID within that realm, COVID is a minuscule, a tiny 1% amount. Like, yes, it does kill children. Just like diabetes and just like fucking gun violence and just like everything else, if you're gonna capture it all. But it's a minuscule, it's a pinch. We have so many other things to be concerned about, the flu being one of them, which is not politicized to the amount that COVID vaccines are, or fucking gun violence like it's being politicized for. All I'm saying is, yes, I understand the frustration behind saying that COVID does not kill children and then there being deaths tied to COVID. I understand that. And that's not accurate to say that COVID
Jesus
does not kill children. I'd be happy to send it. I understand that there's a frustration behind saying that COVID does not kill children and then there are child-related deaths to COVID. All I'm saying is when you look at it in a grand scheme, unfortunately, as much as I don't want children to die under any circumstances, unfortunately, there is a percentage of children that will pass away at a young age. And yes, you could probably blame COVID, and there's probably comorbidity factors tied to it. What's your little shit-eating grin about?
You linked gunviolence.org, and it's a biased website.
I'll find the same. Hold on, I'll find the same report.
Look, Jesus second said that last year we shut down schools last year and kids were mostly kept safe, so now they're being routinely exposed. So as much as I don't want this to happen, watch the number of kid-related deaths to COVID go up, because now they're being exposed to it more often. And to go back as well, like Squash had another point related to vaccines and eradicating disease. So he said that when we talked earlier about the polio vaccine, that's the reason we don't have polio anymore, is because people got on board and got vaccinated. So shut up. So that no one, it got to such a point, like I said earlier, that we became immune to it because people got vaccinated against it, and thusly the symptoms were lessened when someone contracted it, and eventually everyone's immune system got to a point where if they did contract it, it didn't fuck them up and not get them able to walk anymore, and then we became immune to it, which is the same type of thing. That's how vaccines work. Vaccines, it's not an immediate eradication of a disease. It does take time, but that's the purpose of vaccines, is to get to a point where we build up immunity to a virus.
So why haven't we eradicated the flu yet?
Because, like they said earlier, the flu mutates so fast and to such a degree, and I've mentioned this before, that vaccines, like, it's hard to keep up with the flu because of how fast it mutates.
So
This one is not mutating nearly as fast and as rapidly as the flu is, so we can get ahead of of COVID. But the flu has been around for such a long time and mutates at such a rapid rate that it's hard to get out in front of it.
So how long has polio been around?
I don't know. It was around for a long time, but then got to a point where it's now not around.
So how long has the flu been around?
As long, probably longer.
So you can tell me that we have a
Oh,
vaccine
excuse
that
me.
will.
Squash is correcting me. It's not saying we're
So-
immune to polio. It's saying that no one contracted it and therefore couldn't pass it along. Polio died out. We didn't become immune. So we got to a point to where no one was contracting it. So the disease didn't have anywhere to go. So it just died.
No, because the vaccines are different.
How the fuck are they?
One is an mRNA vaccine and one completely kills the host. So your polio vaccine kills the host. So if you
We
were
are the
to-
host of the polio vaccine. So vaccines don't kill the host.
the host of the virus.
That
I'm
would
not
be the
talking
person that the virus is inside of. That is the host.
about the virus in which lives within inside of someone. If I were to contract polio, the vaccine that lives within my blood is going to kill that polio vaccine or that polio virus. If I get the flu and I have the flu vaccine, all it's going to do is help me fight off the flu to a greater degree.
That's what
It's
the
not
polio
going to
vaccine
stop.
did.
No, dude.
Vaccines, never in the history of a vaccine has it been developed in order to, like, it doesn't kill. Vaccines have never killed the virus. That's not what a vaccine does. A vaccine exposes your body to what that is in order for your body to then recognize it and go, yo, this isn't good. We need to fight this, and then develop your immune system to fight it by itself. That's the purpose of a vaccine.
There are vaccines that will kill the virus upon it entering your body, i.e., chickenpox, i.e., polio, i.e., lockjaw, i.e., any of those fucking diseases that never come around anymore because we're all fucking vaccinated because they never happen. You never hear of someone getting fucking chickenpox or fucking lockjaw or polio because it doesn't fucking happen because we have a vaccine for it. But people still get the goddamn flu every year, no matter whether or not they get a fucking flu shot. Because if you get the flu shot, all it's going to do is help you digest the flu better. When's the last time someone fucking got polio? Show me someone who's got polio. Show me one goddamn person on earth who was vaccinated for the polio virus and got fucking
The
polio.
reason no one has gotten polio in however
Because
many...
there's a vaccine.
Because the vaccine, when they first were giving it to people, gave your body, like Squash is saying right here, the blueprint to fight the virus when it entered your body. Never in the history of science or vaccines have you been given a vaccine that immediately kills the thing when you get it. Vaccines are not given, you don't get a vaccine after you're sick. It's a preventative measure. And I, like Squash said, Squash and I both had chickenpox as children. We had chickenpox. Now, will we ever get chickenpox again? No, because we had them and our body got the blueprint from fighting the chickenpox as a child, so we will not get chickenpox again. We just went the long way around on that one. Vaccines are never have they been ever implemented to immediately kill whatever virus or whatever it's for. They're meant to give your body the blueprint in order so it can fight that thing later on. And like we said earlier, once enough people finally got vaccinated, we'll use polio again as the example. Once enough people got vaccinated against polio and all of that, then our bodies collectively, what we will refer to as herd immunity, everyone's bodies knew how to fight polio, so polio couldn't latch on and fuck people up. So it died out because it had no host to latch on to. Combo, that's probably the best way anybody's ever put it. A vaccine is like a condom, a cure is like a vasectomy. Oh, there you go. Polio's still in Nigeria, by the way. The Western world is at least vaccinated against polio. Well, Alex catches up on whatever's going on. Do you guys have anything not related to what's going on right now that I know, Combo, you want us to talk about a Canadian election thing. I'll try and cover that next week.
No, I will.
I think you're right, Squash.
I will come next week with as much. I promise you, I will come next week with 10 sources to cite, and
I don't know about sources. I just relearn how vaccines work.
I promise you, I will come ready to share facts. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. They're developing. They're developing a new vaccine for HIV. Interesting. Okay. All right, chat. With that, this is gonna be a really kind of like quick close off because I do need to run and make sure that this person's dog that I'm like checking on throughout the week is not tearing their house up or shit everywhere. So I'm gonna need to bounce. You guys have a good week. We'll be back again on probably Sunday. Don't forget, I have a poll up on my personal Twitter. My handle will be at the end of this. It's good for like the next day. So we probably got like 20 hours on it left or whatever. So go and vote on that and make sure to let us know whether or not Sunday is the best day to do this or if another day is better. If another day is better, then leave that in the comments underneath the tweet. YouTube, you guys have been great. Continue doing what you're doing. I will have the other 2 episodes from 2 weeks ago and last week uploaded tonight. Like I said, these episodes are probably going to start being a week behind from when we do them live, given my new schedule with things. So yep. And then as far as the Spotify stuff is concerned, I just went through today and uploaded a bunch of episodes that I had been lacking on, so that'll be pretty well caught up soon. And other than that, again, we'll see you guys next week, and tell somebody you love them, all right? I still love Alex. I just know he's a little bit mad right now. Anyways, so I will see you guys next week. And you guys have a safe week and continue to seek the truth and remain as unbiased as you guys can. All right. We'll see you.